Now I'm pretty sure that a lot of people were shocked with Ridley's sudden appearance in Samus Returns. How exciting is it to see a fan favorite villain appear in a game he wasn't even originally in? It's easily one of my most favorite moments of the series. However, this has sparked some confusion. What's Ridley doing on SR388? Why does he look like this? And how does this affect Super Metroid? So for today's lore video, I thought it'd be pretty cool to try to explain the ending of Samus Returns to try to clear up some confusion I've seen throughout the internet. So with that being said, let's cue up that video and roll out that intro. Now granted, I do understand why there's some confusion over why Ridley's here in the first place. In the original Metroid 2 game, there was no sign of space pirates whatsoever. It was just a story of Samus destroying Metroids. So the remake having Ridley become the final boss just seems kinda out of nowhere, and with no explanation in game, it's only natural for people to be confused about this. Thankfully, the official Samus Returns player guide gives us a pretty good explanation for why Ridley's here in the first place. Samus' greatest nemesis makes a return in this game to put a stop to her Metroid eradication. It was Proteus Ridley, Mother Brain, and the space pirates that harnessed Metroids for evil during Samus' first mission, and they clearly found it to their liking. Proteus Ridley's not about to allow Samus to wipe out such a formidable source of power and an equally devastating weapon, not without a fight. So the space pirates sent Ridley in to try to stop Samus from exterminating the Metroids. The space pirates wanted to reuse the Metroids again since their potential as a bioweapon was so extreme, but with Samus' reputation of dealing with the Metroids on the Tauren base, everybody knows that Samus has the highest chance of exterminating the Metroids. So they sent in the one creature with the highest potential of defeating Samus, Ridley. However, by the time Ridley gets on the planet, Samus has already completed her mission, and with Samus literally carrying the last Metroid in existence, Ridley had no other choice but to engage Samus and try to steal the Metroid from her. You can tell in the beginning parts of the battle, Ridley was more focused on running away than he was trying to fight. His main goal was to stop Samus, but since Samus already completed her mission, the only thing he can really do is just steal the Metroid and take it to the space pirates to continue their plans in creating a Metroid army. Now that we explained what's Ridley doing on SR38, now we gotta explain his appearance. A lot of people seem to be confused over Ridley's appearance. He has cybernetic armor and robotic plating. He does kind of look like a Meta Ridley and Omega Ridley, but people tend to assume that the Prime games and the 2D games are completely different universes, and for that I gotta say that's completely wrong. According to Yoshio Sakamoto, the reason Proteus Ridley looks like this was to establish a little bit of consistency within the universe. Sure, the 2D games and the 3D games focus on completely different story elements, but all of it happens in one universe. There's no split timeline or alternate dimensions, everything happens in one unified timeline. So from the original Metroid game /Zero mission, Ridley was badly wounded in his battle against Samus and was boarded onto the frigate Orpheon to become Meta Ridley, a version of Ridley that's mostly cybernetic, almost completely robotic, with a couple organic parts here and there. But as time goes on, with Ridley's natural healing factor, and I guess with the help of Phazon, he's been slowly regenerating his body to the point where we see Omega Ridley. Once Omega Ridley's Phazon mutations disappear due to Samus destroying Phase and purging the galaxy of Phazon, Ridley would be free of Phazon, allowing him to naturally regenerate his body from that point. Comparing Meta Ridley with Proteus Ridley, Ridley has regrown and regenerated huge portions of his body. The reason Ridley looks like this is to not only show a connection between the Prime games and the 2D games, but to show that Ridley's been slowly growing his body back ever since he transformed into Meta Ridley back in Prime 1. And now finally, how does this affect Super Metroid? With the story of Metroid 2 and Metroid 3 happening back to back, it makes sense for there to be a little bit of confusion. I've seen people speculate that Ridley died on SR388, he got eaten by a Hornode or absorbed by an X-Parasite, and the Ridley we see on Super Metroid is either a clone, a different member of his species, or just gonna be retconned entirely or something along those lines. But it's nothing that complicated. After Samus defeats Ridley and leaves the planet to go deliver the baby, Ridley is left unconscious. And upon recovering from his battle, he loses more robotic prosthetics, either due to the robotics taking too much damage in the battle, or him taking the robotics off personally because he no longer needs to rely on the prosthetics anymore. Either way, with Ridley's natural healing factor, as well as the fact that he's losing prosthetics, this shows that Ridley's going to be much more organic the next time we see him, and he is much more organic the next time we see him. In Super Metroid, Ridley's 100% organic. The fact that Ridley's claws on the planet is a way to show the player that Ridley's going to transition even further, transitioning into a more organic form. And of course, once Ridley regains consciousness, his first instinct is to immediately chase after Samus, which will kick off the events of Super Metroid. Proteus Ridley and Samus Returns even helps alleviate a little bit of a weird story quirk that was inside Super Metroid. With again the story of Metroid 2 and Super Metroid happening back to back, it was always kind of weird that the space pirates attacked the Sirius space colony so fast. How on earth did they know that Samus destroyed all the Metroids, saved the one baby Metroid, took it to the Sirius space colony, and immediately attacked it after she left? It was almost as if someone was spying on Samus to give information right on the fly for the space pirates. But with Proteus Ridley being on the planet, seeing Samus hold the last baby Metroid, and following Samus to the Sirius space colony, it makes a lot more sense for how the space pirates figured out all this stuff in such a short time frame. So what do you guys think? Did you learn something new about Proteus Ridley and how this affects the Prime games and Super Metroid? If you already knew about this, did you enjoy the video in the first place? Whatever your opinion is, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. I do want to do more lore videos like this because I just love talking about like my favorite franchise, Metroid, and explaining stuff like this is really cool. So if you have any like opinions or thoughts or maybe even questions you'd like answered in this series of videos, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. And if you like Metroid videos, feel free to click on the video above. Honestly, this video is like one of my favorite videos I've ever made. A review of the original Metroid game, the first review I've ever done, but it was so cool just going back to the first Metroid game and just playing it and like, you know, looking at it more critically than I normally would. So I really do hope you click on the video. With that being said, I'm the Metroid Trainer. I hope you like, favorite, and subscribe, and stick around for next time because I'll be seeing you later.